Hi, good morning, good evening. As per your time zone, I'm Kumkum Sharma from Bridge, and I'm back again on live open session episode 51. On the behalf of entire Bridge team, I would like to welcome you here. And without wasting any more time, let me just jump into the agenda and how we are conducting this session. So agenda is very simple. It's always driven by you, not by me. So whatever questions you have in your mind related to your career growth, please drop your questions in the comment box. We are live on YouTube. We are live on LinkedIn. You can just drop your questions in the comment box. I'll include your questions. Saket will answer your questions. So thank you very much, Saket, once again joining me with this session. So how you would like to start this session today?
Okay, so we hope that some query starts coming in and it starts creating the flow. In the previous two sessions, I think we have been since we started this year, we are more getting queries related to the project management, business analysis part. A lot of queries are coming more related to the topic and conversation rather than a direct question on a particular certification. So that's something we have been listening from last 2 months. It's already March. Yeah, so that's something is happening. I do see many people are updating their profiles, so good amount of conversation happening around how to make the profile more effective. So that's something we have been discussing for a while. So yeah, I think more or less on the same line, we continue talking today as well. And I do see some of our participants joining in. So great, good to see you all here. So I take my first query of this episode 51. So how someone can build his or her career in a Scrum Master after completing certification. So say many of us end up doing certified Scrum Master program because we want to get into the Scrum Master job profile. Some of you do Scrum Master certification when you are already working as a Scrum Master, but many of you may start focusing on getting the job as a Scrum Master after doing the CSM certification. So usually when you see the various profiles, various details in the industry, they do expect some amount of exposure as a Scrum Master role rather than just education from you in order to give you an opportunity to work as a Scrum Master. So how do we build our profile? We need to focus on the competencies and skills which are asked frequently in the interviews and which are looks like there was a network glitch today, and still I am on Wi-Fi. Yeah, I think there was a issue, and let's see if we get the network back soon. Yeah, so it's one of the rare event, but sometime it happens. Yeah, so here we are. Okay, so coming back, so as a Scrum Master, after doing a certification, you may start focusing on identifying the skills and competencies needed for a Scrum Master job. Usually, those skills and competency revolves around ability to facilitate conversation, facilitating meetings, ability to coach and mentor product owner with the help of helping them to write user stories, acceptance criteria, and helping them to think about the requirement in a small and incremental piece, focusing on ability to coach and mentor and develop teams so that they become self-organizing. These all things are usually expected from the Scrum Master, and as a aspiring Scrum Master or as a targeting a Scrum Master role after certification, we just need to make sure that we have all these things in our profile. Now, we wrote a blog explaining this in detail. So you may want to check our blog on Eisenbridge/blog, where there are a decent number of ideas which helps you in identifying what you should do in order to improve your profile. Some of the basic idea which we focus on are identifying first the competency which are asked in the industry, plus identifying those competency which you have in your profile, and trying to find out the match where you see a demand and you also have some experience in it. So you showcase, present those things well in your profile. So that is something is the first reminder we are putting. There could be some competencies which are frequently asked in the job profiles, but doesn't like you don't have it. Then for that area, you may need to do something and add some training, some education, or some kind of voluntary experience so that those words starts appearing in your profile. So these kind of advices you can find in that particular blog. So I request you to check that blog, which is available on our website. Okay, we look at the second question. Hope the things and network is stable now. So recently I faced agile related question in my Scrum Master interview. I have done PSM and 6 months working as a Scrum Master. Which certification I should do to get a knowledge of agile? Okay. So what I am trying to interpret this question is that the questioner believes I have a decent understanding of Scrum, but when it comes to generic agile way of working, I face challenges. So which particular certification can help me in building the generic agile skill? If that's the question, I can proceed with that assumption. So generic agile is not much different from Scrum. For many, Scrum equals to agile, though technically speaking it is not, but for many that's the case. If you learn more about how agile is supported with the help of Scrum, you will definitely learn about agile as well. So that's a preferred way of doing. There are various certificates which can help you in learning about agile or a Scrum way of working. You can do the PMI ACP if you are focusing on hybrid approaches or multiple approaches of agile. That's a good certification. If you are inclined towards project management and you want to see how agile is used inside the project management, then you may want to do PMP certification as well. So that's also a good program to explore too. If you are exploring the scaled version of agile, then we have a SAFe. If you are looking at a Kanban version of agile, then you have a Kanban. So I prefer you focus on a specific which you believe that you want to build on. Then we may be able to recommend you a particular certificate rather than giving you generic advice to explore on various things. So if you can let us know even in this call that what kind of things you faced in the interview which were challenging for you, then I probably can help you in pointing out that which particular certificate may cover those kind of topics in detail. Okay, which certificate can help in agile project management role? PMP. Simple. So the PMP certificate is designed for the purpose of people who are doing project delivery. That's the important thing. And inside the project delivery, they may use different approaches, mix of agile and predictive, pure agile sometime. They can do whatever suitable to a context. So the project managers are not attached to any framework or methodology. For them, frameworks and methodologies are tool, and they apply the appropriate tool whenever there is a need for it. So if you like that kind of environment, that kind of style of execution, you want to become a delivery manager rather than just a project manager, then you probably want to focus on PMP certification. So PMP certification could be a good choice for you to work with. Okay, so here we get some of these questions. I move forward. I hope this thing is working well. Okay, so we have another question coming in. With certification, so hopefully this get it. How to move career from Scrum Master to Agile Coach? Great question. So I just recap what we have discussed till now. We discussed about how do we get into Scrum Master job, and we shared that you may add some competencies and skills, and that helps you moving forward. And then we also explored what kind of certification is good for Agile project manager. The PMP certification comes as a default recommendation, and we do have the PMP certification program to support you. What should one do to learn Agile? So that question was not very clear. I suggested few ideas like PMI ACP and Kanban and all, but if you can get more clarity, probably I can share more. Yeah, so that's talk of the situation till now. Okay, so how to move a career from a Scrum Master to Agile coach? So the idea is Scrum Master is also expected to apply coaching, facilitating, and mentoring skills. An Agile coach is also expected to apply coaching, mentoring, facilitation, plus few other skills. So I would say the Scrum Master is a good place to learn various competencies which are applicable and needed as an Agile coach. So first thing is I make best use of my current role. I explore various facilitation technique to ensure the retrospectives are becoming more and more effective. I create high performing team. I play with various team assessments. I help team to explore various team development models. I create self-organizing teams so that they can take care of their conflict decision making without assistance from outside or even from you. So all these things are needed as a coach as well. So this work as a playground for me or a learning ground for me. And I should do frequent one-on-one coachings and one-on-one mentoring to my teams. Now, when I look for an Agile coach role, usually a different organization may have a different expectation, but the generic expectation from an Agile coach role is that you enable multiple Agile team. You enable multiple Scrum Masters so that they can assist their teams in an effective way, so they can become a good coach. So the Agile coach role is creating Scrum Masters as a good and great coach. Now, in order to grow that, foundation is your current leadership skills, your current Scrum Master job. Now, on top of it, you start learning various Agile frameworks. So going beyond Scrum, Kanban, Scaled Agile, whatever is relevant, few frameworks. Also learning about various management approaches like governance, matrices, value alignment, domain skills. So you learn various aspects which are beyond a single team space. So you learn about business, you about organization, learn about change enablement, you learn about coaching. If you want to get a little bit comprehensive information about that, okay, what kind of competencies and skills I need to build in order to move to an Agile Scrum Master to Agile coach role, the ICP ACC program is a good program for you. So I keep saying the way the Certified Scrum Master program works for Scrum Masters, on the same line, the aspiring coaches can get great benefit by doing ICP ACC certification, because that certification helps you in understanding the competencies, the role of an Agile coach, and gives you a roadmap for developing your own competency. So start with where you are, improve your current team facilitation skills, do ICP ACC certification, and that will plot a good roadmap for you. Okay. So how do we measure quality assurance performance through the matrices in Agile? Is there any defined metrics? So as you understand, be it Agile or be it non-Agile, there could be plenty of matrices and we need to choose something which makes sense for us. So there is no recommendation. In a Agile world, there is only one matrix which is clearly recommended, which is called working software. So ideally, we should be revolving around seeing the product rather than seeing some data which is not related to the product. So having said that, we may have some more activity or detailed data, detailed information, which can probably help us in diagnosing the problem which might be coming in product or a project delivery. So there is a value in those matrices, but the primary matrices work is, okay, have we delivered something at the end of 2 weeks? Was that particular delivery meeting our quality standards? What kind of open defects were there? What amount of rework was generated because of missing some of the quality guidelines in the beginning? So things around that can become a good quality matrix. So working software to start with. After that, you may have a problem specific metrics. If the defects are the problem area, you may talk about number of defects found, and you may use those indicator to bring those defects down on a weekly basis or in a iteration basis. There is a possibility of type of defects as well, the detection time of the defect as well. So those kind of you may have some amount of quantification of rework also. You may have some way of quantifying the defects to the effort and calculate how much rework is getting generated week on week, and that may work as a quality metrics. So these all are possible metrics, but nothing much recommended. The only recommendation from Agile is working softwares. Okay. So I have completed CSP to know how to become CSPO and CST. So CSPO is simple as CSM. So similar like CSM, you have a 2 days program. You can attend that program, and based on your interaction with the trainer and the overall performance, you get a CSPO at the end of a second day. So just you need to enroll to our program. There is a CSPO program, and day after that training, you are CSPO, more or less same like a CSM process. Now, Certified Scrum Trainer is little long process. The Scrum Alliance has the detailed information about it. So that's a good place to go rather than listening to me, because I have not walked through that path, but I have been helping, seeing people following that path for a while. It requires minimum qualifying for CST requires you do a CSPSM. So after CSM, you need to do ACSM, and after ACSM, you need to do CSPSM. And after that, the variable journey starts. Till here, the path is clear. After that, you need to put your profile, you need to submit your application, demonstrate your training skills, bring some evidences of giving trainings, and also work with some existing Scrum trainers and take mentoring and recommendation from them on your training skills. So my recommendation, achieve at least the things which are clear cut, ACSM and CSPSM, and then visit Scrum Alliance website and see how to become certified Scrum trainer. Okay, so as a Scrum Master, what reason will you give your manager to give you a promotion? So I think it may not be depend upon you are a Scrum Master or a project manager or a team member. It depends upon your organization and your manager. So Scrum has no guidance. Scrum tells that Scrum Master will remain Scrum Master. There is no promotion for a Scrum Master. It remains Scrum Master. Maybe it may become more effective, and that's it. Yeah, that's the whole idea. Now, how do I grow inside my organization depends upon how much value I'm giving to the organization rather than value giving to the Scrum, because Scrum is not going to give me a promotion. The organization and the management is going to give me promotion. So whatever process you have, usually it's all about people want to retain you if you add value. So if you add more value, they will be worried of not giving you promotion and losing you. So make sure you do something. So rather than you are worried about your promotion, they are worried more about your like your stickiness to the organization. Once that happens, you are not waiting for a promotion anymore. Okay, so how do I deal with the mindset where technical folks believes me as the Scrum Masters are functional resource and add less or no value to the team? Tech manager asks what to do after the daily Scrum calls. Yeah. So it could be a value or an organization culture issue. Now, it's not necessary that everybody values my work. People will have different understanding depending upon the culture organization has created. I see many organizations where everybody believes they are the only one who are working and everybody is adding no value. I have been through it. I have thought about many other people's like this, that I am the only one who is adding value and others are not. So it depends. It depends upon the maturity of individuals and the organization. As a mature Scrum Master, delivery leader, or a project manager, you understand that how a different component of the system, which means individuals and teams, come together to make things works. So you need to see how I am making and integrating those components and facilitating the value delivery. If I am facilitating the value delivery, so value is coming. Maybe one person is not recognizing it, doesn't matter, but I see the value is coming. If you are able to create that value, then you are on a right path. But if you yourself feels that looks like I am my value or my contribution is not much in this context, then you probably need to be worried and need to find out the right profile or right place for you where you add value. So my recommendation would be, rather than what people think about what you are doing, you should probably focus more on what do you think what you are doing. And if you feel that I'm doing something which is valued in this organization or in any other organization, then I'm doing the right thing. If this organization does not care, I will find some other organization who will care, provided I am doing some value addition work. Now, can I convince everybody to respect my work? May be too difficult and may not worth your time investment there. So find out how do you help. Now, having said that, many times this management work, be it a scrum master, project management work, is not a discrete work. It is not something which creates deliverable. Say if I have a 3 developers, they can work together and they can produce deliverable. I don't need any scrum master or project manager on top of it. And why should I waste? But if I have a 10 developers, then I hope that these 10 developers will do the job on their own and produce the equivalent productivity. The 3 people were producing productivity of 30 and 10 will produce a productivity of 100. That won't happen because the 10 people will have more communication challenges, more struggle, and this 10 may not be able to produce the deliverability or a productivity of 40. Yeah, 4 people alone. And for that reason, organization needs someone who can facilitate and integrate these 10 people. So at least they produce productivity of 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, and that is your role. And you know when you are missing, that's the low role of a delivery leader. You know that when you don't perform that role well, the productivity goes down. And when you perform your role better or well, then productivity goes beyond 100. Yeah, you ensure the effective communication, fast decision making, and people are working in a very sync space. So we need to see how we are contributing to make the integration of various people's effort and help them become more valuable to the organization. How do you join the Zoom session? I'm not clear. This is not Zoom. Here it's a little one-way communication, which means you can just type. You can't come inside it if you are asking that question. So this interface is not. We used to do some Instagram live before, but they are no more that active. Well, we'll see. If you have a specific query, we can invite you for a set of conversation. But as of now, not. Okay, so my question is what role Scrum Master, but when the question came around managing different teams of around 50 people, make more like an agile coach, which certification can help you in learning that. So as I said before, in the response to other question, the ICP ACC certificate is a good certificate to learn about the role of coaching, agile coach. And if you are focusing on large team, like 50 plus people, which is becoming more and more common nowadays, then you may also want to learn about scaled agile framework. One of the popular certification of scaled agile framework is known as leading safe. So 2 certificate for you, leading safe and IC agile ICP ACC. Okay, so how to switch from traditional project managers to agile scrum? Can you suggest a career path into agile? First of the thing I would recommend is learning about agile. So you start with the knowledge. Okay, I know what it really means. If you have not yet done PMP certification, doing PMP certification is a good idea because you will relate your traditional as well as your agile project management together. It is just not focusing on traditional. Good percentage will focus on agile and also integrating these 2 things well. So that's the first recommendation. If you are already done, then again you need to learn more about agile. So first you know what you want to get into by way of studying, reading, and getting certified. Once you get there, you need to start exploring it. One of the possible way is inside your current project, wherever you have a role to play, bring some amount of agility. Bring some amount of pure agility or hybrid agility in your current environment for the value delivery, not just for the sake of it. You will realize by knowing agile and hybrid way of working how how those things can help you in making your current deliveries better. So you bring those ideas, make your current deliveries better. It helps you in a two-way. First, it helps the organization. Second, it also helps you in practically understanding how the different way of working helps and what kind of a challenges you may face when you work in a different way of working. How do you integrate the traditional mindset, etc., etc. So education and experimentation is something can help you in getting into agile and scrum space. And from education side, the PMP certification is a good starting point. If you have not done certified scrum master, it's a good certification to start with. And if you are looking at a skilled way of working, then leading safe is a good certification. So exact choice of certification varies depending upon what you have done already. By default, PMP is a good certificate. So what are the different technique for handling complex team? So it is difficult to define complexity. There could be a complexity based on the geographical spread of the team, time zone spread of the team, the skill set of the teams, the different organizational team coming together, different employers, people coming together and forming the team, different level of experience coming together forming the team. Some teams are working in a process A, other team members are working in process B, and then they are coming together in a thing. So all these things becomes complex. Yeah, that's the thing. Now, what is complex and how do we navigate complexity? So the simplest thing about handling complexity is ensuring a fast feedback loop. So whatever you do, yeah, whatever work you are doing, you ensure that we plan for a short duration, we learn and we finish that work in a short duration, 1 week, 2 weeks, and after that we reflect together to find out how things are working. So in a simplest mode, it is difficult to plan for complexity in totality because complexity itself means that there will be surprises and it is very difficult to visualize the whole system. Yeah, that's a complexity. You can't know what factor is impacting the other factor. That's what the definition of complex. So I ensure that, okay, every 2 weeks, we need to reflect on how things are going. And at the end of the 2 weeks, we should have some good concrete achievement where we can see what worked and what didn't work so we can take a feedback in account. So work in a short iteration is something you can do to handle the complexity of a product as well as of your team or as well as your overall system. And then you keep improving by engaging people. You are not the one who can handle it. Engaging people, working on various experiments, and that's how you navigate complexity. What is the project plan and how should we start the plan? So project plan in our traditional word is something we called that uh, is a kind of, say you are assigned as a project manager. How do you start? So you will say, guys, we will do a kickoff meeting tomorrow, and after that we will follow agile way of working. We will do weekly meetings. We will use user stories. We will put everything in Jira, and this is what our organization tells. But we will do some deviations. Now this is a project plan. Yeah, this is a high-level project plan, but gradually it will get refined. So whenever you start with some high-level understanding to ensure you and your stakeholders are clear about how are we going to approach this project. How, not exactly what is the deliverable, what do we do, when do we do. It's not about what and when, it is more about how. And once you have some amount of understanding of how, then you start focusing on what and when. Now if you are in an agile way of working, the project plan will only talk about how are we going to approach the problem. If you are focusing on predictive life cycle, then project plan gets into the details, which also gets into when, what, who is going to do things overall in the project. So you get into more detailed planning because you are expected to be dealing with a situation which is well known to you. So that's it. Yeah. So depending upon life cycle, your project plan depth will change, and it's more about something which helps you and your stakeholder to know how are we proceeding in this particular project. That is called project plan, and we call it project management plan in case of PMP space. Okay, so we have a question. I don't come from IT background and I have done CSM and Safe Agile certification, and I'm aiming to learn and grow in the world of Agile. In your opinion, what kind of problem I can face getting a job? So I think it all depends upon what we bring on the table for our job. Just certification may not be enough, because if certification is something which can get the job, then anyone can do 2 days of certification, spend money, and bring it. At the same time, certifications are important, but they are not sufficient. That's the issue. Certification helps me in getting my CV searched. Certification helps me in like probably the recruiters want to shortlist some set of candidates, so they may look as a search keyword for certification. Certification also helps me in demonstrating that I am committed for learning. So that part is great. Now what we need to focus is what all competencies I expected to build so that I get my Scrum Master job or whatever job I am looking for. So it depends upon your background and your competencies. Now you can say, I don't have a coding background, no problem. But you may have a facilitation background, you may have a problem solving background, you may have a change management background. You might have helped people to move from one way of working to another way of working. You might have worked in a particular domain which might be an area of interest for a recruiter, say digital marketing, data science, so those kind of a project. So we need to see what competencies based on our past experience, past education, or our personality type we have in ourselves, and we match it with what is asked in the industry. So that's what I tell when I say how to make a profile for a Scrum Master job. So I search which industry is asking, and I also search what I am having and find out a match. Yeah, so that is needed. Now, as a Scrum Master, do I need to know technology? The answer is you need to know technology terms sufficient enough so that you can empathize with what your development team is talking. You can understand their challenges, you can really connect to it. You are not finding the whole thing alien. So that much technological competencies are usually expected, but you are not all like 80% of the Scrum Master job, as per my study, may not expect you to contribute technically. Yeah, they expect you to talk, empathize, and ensure build in quality rather than you yourself do the technical quality job. Usually the developers are paid more than the Scrum Master in most of the organizations, so they understand that, oh, probably this is something is different. So you don't have to worry about your coding skills, but you probably need to more worry about what unique proposition I bring on the table. If you want to learn a little bit about terminologies of coding, that is good idea. We do have a industry enabled Scrum Master program where we teach some of those. Also how the real, like how in the typical organization work get managed with the help of Jira and other stuff. So if you face those kind of questions frequently in your interview, then you may want to do that particular program. Yeah. So how do you track dependency in Jira? You create a dependent issue in Jira. Yeah. So you can click and mark dependencies. You can create a roadmap. Depends upon what kind of dependency you are talking about. Jira Scrum, like Scrum projects, Kanban projects, or talking about dependency at a roadmap level or at an issue level. So there are multiple ways and multiple queries, yeah, depending upon what is the context. Okay, career guidance for product owner. What skills needed to become a successful product owner? Domain knowledge, certification, training, program of yours, etc., etc. I think all great. Yeah. So the whole idea is that the role of a product owner, I need to understand, it may vary from organization to organizations. Some organizations are expecting technical product owner job. If you go to job sites, I have done some amount of research, I see more system analysis skills are usually published as a requirement for a product owner rather than business domain skills. Yeah, majorly. There could be some organizations which are expecting business and customer empathizing skills. But in general, I see the core skills are more towards how do you communicate business requirement to developer. That part is more. So ability to write user stories, ability to write good acceptance criteria, ability to understand the language, language of developers, ability to explain them the language of business in their easy terms, ability to create wireframes, ability to validate the product done. These kind of things are more frequently seen in the job description. Again, the certified Scrum product owner and other certification will get you the whole idea of a product ownership job. But in general, I think that if you know how to talk to developer and communicate requirement well, and specialized in writing, splitting, managing acceptance criteria and user stories, you should be getting good traction. That's what I see as per the job descriptions of various product owner. Okay. Okay, what is the difference between backlog reprioritization, backlog grooming versus backlog refinement? So in a way, you can say all of them are same. The backlog reprioritization happens as a part of backlog refinement. Backlog grooming and backlog refinement are the same thing. They are synonymous. The earlier word people was used to call grooming, now they call refinement. And inside the refinement, in a product backlog space, multiple things can happen. You divide the big item into smaller items, epics or big user stories into smaller stories. You add acceptance criteria to it. You do an estimation to the user stories, and you do a prioritization of the product backlog. So all these are backlog refinement activities. What is the meaning of iteration edge? So sometimes this appears, but needed, not need to be learned, because nowadays a lot of negative things attached to it. So many times in the earlier ways of working agile, people used to call something called hardening sprint or hardening iteration. So it is like that you work 2-3 iterations, and then you take a one iteration gap where you make sure that previous 3-4 iteration work is working well, and we want to make everything solid hardening, and so that we can release it and give it to the customer. So that's something associated with edge, which is called hardening iteration or hardening sprint. Not recommended, not appreciated. Reason, because it delays the feedback loop. So say you may keep postponing, or we will see it later, we'll see it later. You have a 3 iterations done, and when you start seeing it later, you may discover more issues which may destabilize your lot of other stuffs. So it creates more rework for you. So the whole idea of agile is fast feedback loop, and when we purposefully keep postponing things, then we are not taking the benefit of feedback loop. And that's the reason most of the current way of working at agile, they talk about that no, don't plan anything for later stage. Have a definition of done which is really done, which means you do things on an iteration basis, so that you are ready and you are hardening every day rather than you are hardening after few sprints. So you can ignore it whenever you see in your content literature. You can definitely ignore it. Okay, so I have already done PMP certification, approx 15 years experience, planning to make a career in agile. Which certification is good for me? I think CSM is a good start. Yeah, that's it. CSM is good start. And then leading safe could be the next one. So if you have done PMP, the new PMP, which is there from last 2 years, has a lot of agility in it. If you do it now, then you don't have to worry here and there. But if you are done PMP in a previous word before 2021, then probably you may not have got an exposure of agile and PMP mixed. So certified Scrum Master and leading safe should be a good certification for you. And then start mixing it in your current projects, and that helps you in making career transition. Great. Keep watching our YouTube videos. Okay. So a lot of documents in the question. I want to know the difference between handover document, project closure document, post go live document, post implementation reviews document. All these things depends upon your organization. So there is no standard thing. The only thing which we can clarify is there is a difference between closure documents and handover documents. That is for sure. So what does it mean? That handover is more to do with you are giving a deliverable to someone else, and you want to give sufficient amount of documentation to that person so that person can take care of their work as they go along. That's a handover. The closing may have a previous invoices also, which may nothing to do with the handover, but it has to be recorded somewhere because we are closing the project. The closing closing may have a lesson learned as well, which talks about, oh, don't do an estimation like this, don't work with that vendor, don't work with these kind of technologies. It has nothing to do with the handover, but they are very important closing documents. So closing document is all about having a final project report, having a final lesson learned, and talking about all archival or important documents which needs to be kept. That's the cold closing part. Something which needs to be given to someone, your operational team, your support team, those are handover documents. Yeah. So that's the thing. And again, it's a go live, post implementation review. So those all things will be in a handover space. So you see the implementation, but it is definitely different than the closer set of documents. Yeah. Rest, there is no very standard format that this is A, this is B, this is C. The PMP exam is away from having exact detail of documentation. The documentations and tools are used as a tool rather than as a mean. So the goal is when we are transitioning, we need to make sure the knowledge has been transferred. The knowledge transfer is the goal. The document is a mean. Yeah. So we need to keep that thing in a mind when we are dealing with our PMP exam questions as well. Now, does the project assumptions are nothing but a potential risk? So you can say the assumptions can get converted into risk. Yeah. Because say, I want to ask you, what will you do tomorrow? So you will assume that I will be healthy tomorrow and I will wake up on time, and that's how I will do the things tomorrow. Now, without doing this assumption, you can't tell me what are you going to do tomorrow. Yeah. Now, when you made these assumptions, can these assumptions go wrong? Yes, they can go wrong. And that's a risk. So assumption going wrong is a risk. But I can't make a plan tomorrow without having an assumptions. So yes, in a project management term, we, whenever I am reviewing somebody's project plan, whenever I'm reviewing somebody's estimation, somebody's any forecast, I need to see what all assumption has been made. The person might have made an assumption of a team size. The person might have made an assumption of that everybody will be available on the day one in the project. The person might have made an assumption that people will have a desired amount of skills. But what if those things are missing? So those all are risk. So usually most of the assumption get converted into risk, and they get tracked that we need to validate, are they true or not true. Okay, so is the risk audit and risk mitigation management are same? No. So risk response planning is a risk mitigation, risk transfer, risk avoidance. Risk audit is a step to identify effectiveness of risk management process. We can say, oh, are we really having a process to identify and document risk if needed? Do we have a discussion on the risk on a frequent meetings? Have you done that in the last 3 meetings? That's a risk audit. Yeah. Whereas a particular risk is expected to be taken care by way of doing some proactive step will be a mitigation. So audit is little less frequent activity. Mitigation might be happening as the risks are occurring. Okay. So recently I faced an interview. The interview panel asked, what is the representation of head in a fishbone analysis diagram? So the head in a fishbone analysis is clearly talk about the effect. What you see as a result is an effect. Yeah. So now we need to find out the causes. The bone help us in reaching to the causes. So you call it 5 by analysis, fishbone diagram, or whatever. That's the whole idea of it. Yeah. Yeah, I see here. Okay, so what is the difference between requirement traceability and risk traceability matrix? Why these are two documents? I don't know what is risk traceability matrix. Maybe used in some organizations, but it is not as much I know is any standard project management term. Now, the whole idea of tracking the traceability is more associated with the requirement, and we call it requirement traceability matrix, which is primarily focusing on what was the requirement and how various steps we did in our project like taken care that particular requirement. So we need to see the whole path of it. That is something called requirement traceability matrix. Yeah. So it is initiated as a result of collecting requirement. It is updated and tracked throughout the project as we discover solution, as we discover a test area, as we discover other areas, we keep updating it. And by doing it, we have our customer expectation met. So I don't know what is a risk retirement. Maybe this term is associated with making the risk closing, yeah, retiring the risk. This risk is no more relevant. So you can have a status called retirement in your project environment. Yeah. So what tools do you suggest a Scrum Master need to learn and master? Are any related trainings available? So yes, the Jira training is available. That's we do have a program around it. You can do that. Other than Jira, I think you may need to also learn some of the virtual collaboration tools like Miro or Jamboards, or how to make Zoom use like well. They are very simple, nothing much, but it is like how do you ensure virtual facilitation? There are a possibility of learning that with the help of a training as well. We have a agile team facilitation training, which is all about running facilitation. Now the training is also happening in a virtual mode, so we end up learning more virtual facilitation. So some virtual facilitation tools and some work management tool. So work management tool example is a Jira, and the virtual facilitation tool could be a set of activities using Zoom. Zoom also has a whiteboard. Using the whiteboard well, you know what all functionality it has, how can you manage various aspects of Zoom or any team, something like that, and ensure collaboration. So I think these two tools will help you in moving forward with your Scrum Master job. So as of now, we have not started the Product Owner Industry Enabled program, but we do have Scrum Master Industry Enabled program as of now. We'll see if we can come up with a Project Manager and Product Owners Industry Enabled programs as well. Yeah. Okay, so looks like we are done for now. I just pause in case someone has a question. We still have few minutes. We can take care of it. As of now, I see we are done with our current question set. If you have anything here, please let us know. The process is simple. You just type. Yeah, you type in the chat box, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you are watching it, and we take it from there. Okay, so looks like Kumkum, we are done. Probably we need to close.
Yeah, seems like no, we have question.
Yeah. So which certification is good to start in a PO side? I think CSPO is a good idea because Safe POPM talks about a specific context of safe and doing product ownership inside the safe. Whereas a CSPO will touch upon the ideas which are generic Scrum, and most of these ideas are also applicable in safe way of working. So it's a little open program in a way, whereas a safe POPM is a specific. If you are already working in a safe way of working, or you are targeting safe way of working, then you can go for safe POPM only, because you need to match the language which is used in your organization. But if that's not the case, then you can go ahead and do CSP. And I think we do have a session this next after 1 week, maybe around
Yeah.
24th. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So great. We close here. Yeah.
Cool. So that was a great session and very insightful session. And hope, guys, you got the answers of your questions. If you have follow-up questions, you can post your questions on our email address as well. Let me just drop email. Please do not hesitate to, post your questions here. Sales at eisenbridge.com. We'll definitely answer your questions, and we'll be back on the fourth Friday of March month. Let me just quickly share the dates also here. It's 24th. So we'll be back on 24th March, same time, 7 p.m. IST. And yeah, bye for now. Take care of yourself and keep reading. Bye.